just a good old boy, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
If you were to compare the 2017 Duke football team to a piece of playground equipment, I'd have to easily say it'd be the teeter-totter. Those first 4 games, yeah, Duke looked like king, and that teeter-totter was definitely in the up position. Yeah, winning your first 4 games, offense looked terrific, defense likewise. But then the next 6 games, well, Duke didn't look like king. As a matter of fact, that teeter-totter went into that down position, and Duke looked like puke. That 6-game stretch, they lost all of them, averaging just 12 points per game during that 6-game stretch. But at least the teeter-totter went right back up for the final 3 games of the season. Duke, of course, had to win the last 2 to get to bowl eligibility, and then they closed out 2017 by winning their bowl game with a 7-6 record. You know, David Cutcliffe, to say he's done a masterful job at Durham, North Carolina, would be an understatement. Realize that before Cutcliffe arrived at Duke, from 2000 to 2007, those 8 years in the pre-David Cutcliffe era, Duke had a record of 10 wins and 82 losses. That's right, 10 and 82. I mean, you can't even really write a believable script for that. But the 10 years after that, Duke has been a far better program. In fact, one year they actually went to the ACC championship game. I mean, it's a school, obviously, where men's basketball reigns supreme, but Cutcliffe has brought a high level of respectability to the gridiron, and now he enters year number 11 in Durham. Offensively, he does get the QB back. Daniel Jones at times having his moments. Did have 14 touchdown passes and almost 2,700 yards of passing yardage. But has to make better decision-making. That 6-game losing streak that we talked about mid-season, well, Jones didn't always make the best decisions. In fact, for the year, ended up with 11 interceptions. The ground game does lose Sean Wilson, but you do get back Britton Brown, who contributed last year with over 700 yards rushing and had 7 scores. Good news for the Blue Devils as well is that they get the receivers back. T.J. Ramming, probably the main target, by far the most productive Duke receiver in 2017, had a pair of scores, but also too had 65 catches for almost 800 yards receiving. The other receivers do have experience, but not much statistically. Jonathan Lloyd as well as Chris Taylor each had just 1 touchdown catch. You do get back Daniel Helm, though, at the tight end position. And the Duke defense definitely had plenty to be proud of in 2017. In fact, total defense, they were 4th in the conference. 332 yards per game is all they gave up. Jim Knowles is really to be credited for that. But Knowles is now the DC at Oklahoma State. So the Blue Devils will have a couple of coaches who will handle the defensive coordinator responsibilities. That's Ben Albert and Matt Guerrieri. And they'll try to pick up from where Mr. Knowles left off, which was a D that only gave up 20.2 points per game, which was 21st best in all the land. Defensive line, you get back a couple of guys. Trey Hornbuckle is one of them, the defensive end, a junior, had 50 stops a year ago. And at a defensive tackle spot, you've got plenty of experience with now a senior in Edgar Cernard. I do believe that the linebackers will be the strength of this team, and Joe Giles Harris. I mean, I know you got Shaq Quarterman at Miami, but Giles Harris, you know, some might think that he's the best linebacker in all the ACC. Sure, certainly one of the best in the country. The LB last year, 125 tackles, 16 of those were tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. Joe Giles Harris, he's definitely a highlight reel. Ben Humphreys will assist him at another linebacker spot. He had 70 tackles. Secondary last year was a major strength for this team, but it's going to be a big challenge this year because you lose not just Brian Fields at a corner, but also to Alonzo Santos and his 90 tackles at safety. So they've got bodies to replace. You do get back, however, a first-team All-ACC selection at the corner in Mark Gilbert. 6 interceptions for Mr. G and had 15 pass breakups. And I've been doing my due diligence. I have been trying like hell to find out if Jeremy McDuffie is available. My sources, when I do my research, usually they're consistent, but in this case they've been anything but. I've had a couple that say he's on the depth chart, and I have some other ones that say he's doubtful for the year. So if you definitely root for Duke and know, please leave a comment as far as if Jeremy McDuffie is going to be available. Had the devastating knee injury late last season, so I have not been able to find out current status about Jeremy McDuffie. And if he can come back, he'll be a vital asset at safety, 58 tackles, and had 3 interceptions. It was a Jim Thorpe semifinalist. Special teams, well, they've got some talent to replace with the dual punter kicker and Austin Parker, no longer with the team. He was 17 of 21 field goal kicking and averaged 42 yards per punt. The 2018 schedule for Duke, it will not start on the easy side. You got to play Army that game August 31st on a Friday night. We know that the Black Knights love to run the ball like crazy. Then the next week, you got to go to Evanston to take on a Northwestern squad that you routed last year. But you got to play them on the road this time, and Northwestern already off to a flying start, winning their season opener at Purdue. And even the game at Baylor is not an automatic W, even though I know Duke beat them last year, and the Bears only won one game. Baylor, I think, will be a better team, so Duke can't rest on the Bears. September 29th, that's the ACC opener. You get Virginia Tech at home. Last year, Duke only scored 3 points on the Hokies. But there are going to be opportunities for wins down the line. Virginia at home in mid-October, and then you close out the month at Pittsburgh. There's also a home game against North Carolina. But those last two games will be on the very tough side, including having to play at Clemson. Yeah, you don't play Florida State this year, but you have to play the three-time defending ACC champions, and you have to play them at Death Valley, and you'll close out the season at home against Wake Forest. The Blue Devil defense, again, I think will be terrific, but I have issues as far as if Duke's offense can be consistent enough, and that line is going to be fairly raw. Duke, I think, will make a bowl game, but I got them finishing in the lower half of the ACC Coastal in 5th place. That's my look at Duke. We'll see you next time.